Hey guys, how's it going? So for today's video, I'm going to be talking about my personal experience and the pros and cons of living in an apartment versus a townhouse. So if you guys are looking for like the pros and cons and want some personal experiences, feel free to tune in. If you're just here to chat, I'm a-okay with that. But before I hop in, I need to be annoying for a second. Please subscribe if you haven't. I'd really appreciate it. I have about definitely less than 80 subscribers. I know I haven't been super active, but I'm working on that. Your girl's working on it. But yeah, without further ado, let's hop in. I have a Venn diagram on my computer. Don't mind them, she's being stinky. But I got a big old Venn diagram written out up here on my computer because I wanted to make sure I had everything in check before I started. So I've lived in both a townhouse and an apartment. The townhouse I lived in there for a little over 4 years, and for the apartment I lived in there for over 2 years, going on that still. For townhouses, you can either have 1 or 2 neighbors. For my unit, I had 4 little houses connected and I was in the middle. So I had 2 neighbors. And then for an apartment, you can have up to 3 to 4 neighbors. So if you're, say, on the second story of a 3-story, you're going to have someone below you, someone above you, someone to your left, and someone to your right. And for me, I have 3 neighbors, which can get a little hectic, especially with people upstairs are extremely loud, but I mean, that's just apartment living. Let's talk about rent, which is, something we don't like talking about. For my townhouse, I had a very spacious townhouse. It was a 3-bedroom, 2 full bathrooms and 1 half bathroom. Very nice townhouse. And the rent was around $1,400, but that had all the utilities included. That includes trash, pest control, maintenance is thrown in there, of course. Water, wastewater, and electric was all included. So that was flat fee. So if it got really hot in the summer, which I mean, it was the South where I lived, so needed a lot of AC going on. Your electric would be absolutely the same, your rent stayed the same. But for this apartment, it is roughly $1,000, and it is very small compared to the very spacious townhouse. And there's no utilities included. So my wastewater changes, my clean water changes, and then the electric comes from the county that I'm in. So those are 3 separate fees that fluctuate a lot, especially electric. That one is pretty crazy. So that's can get a little frustrating when it gets really cold in the winter and really hot in the summer. For pet rent, which is a thing, they will charge you. For the townhouse, I had no pet rent, which was awesome. But for the apartment, they charge $25 per pet per month. So that's just them trying to ding you for extra money. And for both places, they required non-refundable pet deposits, which are about $400 per pet. So that's in case your pet chews all the corners off your walls, pees on the carpet, tears up whatever, it's going to be covered in the non-refundable pet deposit. And they can also ding you for whatever else they want when you move out. For the townhouse, I did not need proof of renter's insurance, but for the apartment, I need proof of renter's insurance. I have to send that every year to the management department, and it has to be for $100,000 of damages because there's a fireplace. And my backyard is a pond, so that's flooding, could be apartment catching on fire, all that jazz. For the townhouse, I had a garage, which was very awesome, and a nice driveway. The garage was not automatic, which, doesn't bother me. I don't worry about having to lift it up, set it down, lock it, all that jazz. But for this apartment, you got no parking. No garage, at least. You have basic parking, which is extremely crowded because everyone has at least 2 to 3 cars here. And if you want a reserved parking spot, that is $30 a month, which is written into your lease contract. And that is not covered parking. And then they have covered parking, which there are only about 9 spots for $35 a month. And personally, I don't get it because I don't think it's personally worth it. I don't mind parking my car far away and walking. For the townhouse, I had beautiful hardwood floors. Love that. For the apartment, I have carpet, which I don't like having carpet because it's harder to clean up in case you spill something, in case your animals have an accident. For the townhouse, I had a fenced-in backyard. I was in charge of mowing it, and yes, maintenance came around about once a week, making sure your grass wasn't growing over the walls, and if it was, you would get a warning. And if you got X amount of warnings, you'd get evicted, obviously, for not maintaining the lawn, which I had no problem with. And it was an easy way to get extra money if you just offered to mow people's lawns, which was pretty simple. And then, like I said before, excuse me, this apartment has no backyard. It is literally just a pond, which gets pretty buggy in the summer. For maintenance-wise, these apartments and townhouses have a yearly inspection where they check your furnace, make sure it's working, your AC is working, and that your smoke detectors work. For the townhouse, that yearly inspection happened once out of the 4 years that I lived there, which I have no idea why. And then for the apartment, it has happened every single year, which is nice. And they're very fast, except they do give you a pretty large window. They give you the whole day that you have to sit and wait around. And of course, both places you need your animals locked up and out of the way so they don't get in the way of the maintenance workers. For another thing about maintenance, the townhouse, whenever something broke, like a light bulb or the blinds, those white blinds that click in and break off a lot, maintenance would replace those for free within reason. Unless like your animal ripped down every single one of those white blinds, then you might be charged a little bit. But you didn't have to pay anything. But in the apartment, I am in charge of everything. So if a light bulb blows out, I have to fix that. If my cats decide to chew up my blinds, I have to fix that, and so on. Let's talk about paying rent also again. There was no convenience fee for paying my rent online for the townhouse, but for this place there is a $25 convenience fee. And due to COVID, they're not accepting checks, so they're getting $25 extra from everybody for that convenience fee. For trash cans, the townhouse they supplied a trash can and a recycle bin through the city, and you had to make sure those were hidden out of sight. They had to be tucked in your garage or in your backyard so no one could see it, to make the appearance of the complex look a lot nicer, which was definitely something to get used to, but I didn't mind it. It wasn't bad. And then for the apartment, there are dumpsters in the parking lots, and there is no recycling, so you just throw everything together and call it good, which is something else to get used to because I'm very into recycling and all that. Now let's talk about the similarities of both of them. Both places have a gym on site. The gym for the townhouse was a lot smaller than this one, but the gym here has been closed for renovations for a couple months now, and they haven't done anything with it since, so the gym doesn't really exist right now. They both have playgrounds. The townhouse had about 5 different playgrounds for kids to play on, and this place has 2, and 1 is under construction and has been under construction for several years. Both places have paper-thin walls. So if you're someone that likes their quiet time, doesn't like being overheard by anybody, sorry to break it to you, you're going to hear everything that your neighbor is saying. Yeah, it's something to get used to for sure because if I'm having a conversation in my bedroom, I can hear what the other people are doing in the other room. If it's having fun or, adult activities, you can hear everything they're doing. I can also hear my upstairs neighbors. They got a new puppy recently, and consequently, that puppy trips these people, and these people are elderly. So I hear falling in the middle of the night. The puppy wakes me up at 3 in the morning by barking at the ground and clawing at the carpet. You can hear every little bump, every little slammed cabinet, but it's definitely something to get used to. And of course, the townhouse, it was just as loud, especially with hardwood floors. Everything echoed a lot more. So you'd hear, if I was in my living room, I could hear through like 4 different rooms my neighbor in their kitchen slamming stuff. So no matter what, you're always going to hear your neighbor. Then both places, I had an issue with management. For the first year, management, at least for me, put on a facade of being very kind, caring, conscientious. Same with management. They catered to every need, answered all my questions, no problem asked. But after that, they started blocking my phone calls. They started not taking me seriously, and then they started beating around the bush. And it's definitely something that is extremely annoying because I have some very serious concerns going on, and they're not being properly addressed. So just a warning, I know not everybody has this happen to them, but it is something that can happen, and it has happened to me 2 times in a row now with 2 different places in 2 different states. So it's definitely frustrating to say the least. Both places have a dangerous dog breed list. So that includes German Shepherds, Rottweilers, Pit Bulls, Pit Bull Terriers, anything like that, Dobermans, any dangerous dog breed you're not allowed to have. Which, in both places, obviously people had those kind of dogs. I did not snitch, your dog, your problem, just don't have it off the leash and attack me, and we'll be Gucci. But yeah, both places, people don't care, and management doesn't really care, even though they have that rule in place. Both, when you first move in, when you're like signing all your papers, they'll give you like this yellow sheet that says you'll have 1 week to write down any discrepancies you see. So if you notice, there's cut marks in my counters, you can write that down so you don't get charged. Any little issue you see, write that down, because if you don't, they will try to charge you at the end and say you caused that damage. So definitely take your time. Use a magnifying glass, look every little corner you think not to look in to make sure you don't get dinged for anything extra. Both places did not let me walk through before I signed my lease, which I definitely do not recommend. Always ask for a walkthrough because you don't want to be stuck with something that wasn't included. Like when I was viewing this place online, it showed a sliding glass door in the shower. And upon arriving and her saying, "Oh, so you already did your walkthrough, right?" And I'm like, "No." And she's like, "Oh." They had taken out the glass, and there's just a curved bar for my shower curtain. So always ask for a walkthrough and do not sign until you've seen it. Or at least, just try to do something to look at it, because you don't want to just go in blindly and absolutely hate the place. Both places do not have a washer and dryer included. That is pretty standard. Both places had a hookup, and I have my own washer and dryer, so that is no issue. The townhouse had a washer and dryer center in the clubhouse that you paid whatever amount and used their facilities. This place has the same thing in the clubhouse. Plus they also have rentals, washer and dryer, and those are about $25 a pop. So that's $50 for a set per month to rent. Already talked about maintenance and housing. Both places have mandatory quiet times. For this place, it is all the time. You're supposed to be respectful, not blare music, all that jazz. And then for the townhouse, it was 10 p.m. on weekends you had to be quiet, and 12 a.m. on weekends. And for me, As long as you're not drilling holes in the wall at 1 in the morning, I'm not gonna say anything. But within normal hours of the day, I don't care if you blare music, just as long as you aren't literally shaking the pictures off my wall, we should be just fine. Both places came with a refrigerator and dishwasher. This place came with a microwave included over the oven, and the townhouse had no microwave, which was a little odd, but I mean, no biggie, just bought one from Walmart. And then that's basically it for my Venn diagram. Overall, I personally like living in a townhouse a lot more because you have less neighbors. Most of the time you have a garage included, and yes, it tends to be a little bit more pricey, but personally I like having less neighbors, more room, and the utilities included for that place at least. Of course, this is just based on my personal experiences. Everyone else seems to have good experiences at these places I've lived at, which is pretty frustrating to find out that I'm having such terrible negative experiences with management and maintenance, and I don't know why. It feels like I'm almost being singled out, but you know, just trying to stay positive until I can get my own place, like an actual home, because I don't think I'm gonna rent a home because that is way expensive, a lot more than the townhouse. But anyway, you could probably hear my neighbor's dog barking. But yeah, overall I hope you guys found this information semi-useful. If not, I hope you stuck around to the bitter end, heard me out, and maybe gained some new information. If you guys have any questions, feel free to hop in the comments, ask me anything. I'll try to answer the questions as best as I can. If you guys have any ideas for videos, please feel free to hop in the comments, put those down below, because I am pretty bad with coming up with ideas. No brain cells. But yeah. Hope you guys enjoyed, hope you guys found this helpful, and I'll catch you guys in the next one.